Hey everyone, we are going to be looking at the extreme tornado outbreak to happen tomorrow, as well as the severe risks for today and Friday. Before we could get into the forecast, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new and turn on post notifications so you won't miss a single upload or live stream. I will be having a live stream tomorrow on this tornado outbreak, so make sure you do stay tuned for that. Right now, we're looking at the day 2 convective outlook. This is the severe thunderstorm outlook for tomorrow, March 25th. They have issued a moderate risk this morning for portions of Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, and a very little bit of the northwestern portion of Georgia there. Moderate risks are pretty rare to be issued. They're not looking that rare anymore because we have seen a ton this March, but it is pretty rare to see a moderate risk issued for a severe weather event. We also do have an enhanced risk around that moderate risk for around the same areas, and a slight risk for all of those states there, even going up into the Ohio Valley there. And a marginal risk, which is indicating isolated severe storms in the dark green shaded areas. Here's the tornado threat for tomorrow. We do have a 15% chance and a hatched risk, which means in that black outlined area, that's meaning you can see EF2 plus tornadoes in that region tomorrow. So if you live in that region, you really need to stay tuned to the weather, National Weather Service, and the local news. You need to be really staying tuned onto the weather here, because this is going to be a very major event, possibly even worse than March 17th, which was just last week here, where we saw that tornado outbreak as well. As we look at the wind risk, we have a 30% chance for winds and a hatched risk, which is meaning you could see upwards of 80 miles per hour of winds in that region. And finally, for hail, we also do have a significant chance for 2-inch plus size hail in that 30% region. Now here's today's outlook. We do have an enhanced risk for severe storms that is including the Dallas and Waco areas. We also do have a slight risk including portions of Little Rock. Shreveport is also included in that slight risk for severe storms there. So you definitely could see some severe storms throughout today here. As you look at the tornado risk, we have a 5% risk for tornadoes. I will go live if I have to, but right now it is not scheduled. And for the wind risk, we have a 15% chance for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and up. And for hail, we have a 30% chance for hail. 1-inch diameter hail or larger will be likely in that 30% region. Now here's Friday's outlook. We have 3 different marginal risks we need to look at for Friday. I am not going to be surprised if they issue a slight risk for this marginal risk including Mississippi, Georgia, and the Carolinas. We also do have another marginal risk for portions of Mississippi, Arkansas, Tennessee, and Alabama, and another marginal risk for portions of Kansas and Nebraska. Here's the probabilistic outlook, and we all do have that 5% risk for all hazards right now, so nothing too special there. But anyways, let's go ahead and look at the models. Alright, so now we're looking at the future reflectivity. So this is the future radar. According to the HRRR model, so this is refreshed every hour. As you can see right now, we have some snow conditions going on right over here in portions of New Mexico here, and we're also seeing some more snowy conditions over here in portions of Minnesota and Wisconsin. Still that winter storm ongoing, and you are seeing some rain showers and thunderstorms going throughout portions of the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. Now here's the system that's going to trigger this tornado outbreak and some severe weather throughout the day. As we head through 12 p.m. here, you are seeing some storms firing along the dry line for portions of central Texas. You're also seeing some storms developing just north of there into Oklahoma, and you're starting to see some storms developing, maybe even some supercells developing around 5 or 6 p.m. And Dallas-Fort Worth area is already getting pretty slammed there. We're getting into around 7 p.m. now, and you're still seeing this line of storms now developing, still moving about that northeast direction. And we're heading into the overnight hours around here, and we're getting to 9 p.m. So the late evening hours, you're seeing this line of storms now traveling eastward here, now into Arkansas and Louisiana. We're getting to around 12 a.m. here, and you're starting to see that morning convection over here in all of these areas, and that could really take a lot of the instability for tomorrow. So tomorrow could definitely be a bust here. And now we're getting to around 6 a.m. There is still some scattered showers and thunderstorms. However, you are seeing some clearing down here in Louisiana, Mississippi. This is what we saw with last week's setup, is we saw some scattered showers and thunderstorms over here in these types of areas in the really early morning hours, and that really triggered a clearing once it starts to move more northeast. We saw a clearing in this whole area right here, and that's exactly what we saw in last week's outbreak. And as you can see, we see supercells developing around 12 p.m. or around 1 p.m. actually, and those developed by then. We get to around it should be around 3 p.m. now, and you're seeing a lot of supercell development around this whole region right there. Those will be heading northeastward, and as you head throughout the day here, running to 5 p.m. now, still a bunch of those supercells still heading northeastward along that boundary right there. Now heading into more of the evening hours, so around 8 p.m., 9 p.m., still a lot of those supercells are still heading northeastward now into the mid-Atlantic. So the mid-Atlantic could definitely see some tornadic supercells. Even North Carolina into the overnight hours is definitely going to be a more quick event than last week's outbreak, thankfully. As you can see, those supercells really start to weaken by the time you get to around 2 a.m. And that's why we have a marginal risk for tomorrow for this type of area. They may or may not issue a slight risk. We're not going to see a big risk for Friday after that tornado outbreak, mainly because we're not going to see enough instability and moisture being pulled up into this region right here for those storms to redevelop. That's as far as we can go. So let's now go ahead and look at the significant tornado parameter, and this is what we're really worried about here as you head forward into Wednesday. Well, this is today actually, so you're getting to around 4 p.m. and around you get to around 6 p.m. you are seeing some very decent significant tornado parameters here. Let me do the cursor readout here. You're seeing up to 2 to 3 here, so you may see some strong tornadoes today, but very short-lived. Maybe 1 or 2 possibly decently strong tornadoes today in portions of Texas, but nothing really to anything to worry about. Mainly weak and short-lived tornadoes are going to be expected for today. Now, as you head through Thursday here, you get into around 1 or 2 p.m. And let's go ahead and zoom over here to the southeast so we can get a deeper look at this, because this is what we're really worried about here. As you're seeing here, you are seeing upwards of 6 or 7 and even up to 8.5 here in some spots, 8.2. As you take a sounding here, as you take one of these soundings, as you're seeing here, you are seeing a very tiny bit of cap, but nothing really to budge in there. As you're seeing here, you're seeing a very classic supercell. You're seeing a very low-topped supercell as well. And you're seeing enough cape. This is the cape right here. Right in here is where that energy within the atmosphere is. And you are seeing shear 41 knots at the surface, so 1 kilometers, and even effective inflow 53 knots of shear, and which is just saying here you're seeing very good curving according to the hodograph. I mean, this is an overall great sounding for these violent and strong tornadoes for tomorrow. And as you head over here, this really heads northward. As you head into around 3 p.m., you are seeing 7.7 up to an 8 to 10. I mean, you are seeing in some models, some more higher resolution models, you are seeing up to 20s. So this is going to be a very insane outbreak for tomorrow. Definitely much worse than last week's outbreak. And that really starts to weaken by the time you head into the overnight hours. However, you are still seeing up to 4 to 5s in there, which is worrying because you could see overnight tornadoes in that type of region right there. Even up to the mid-Atlantic, there is some 2 to 3s up in there. So make sure you do keep an eye on this overnight as well. As you're heading now into around 12 to 1 a.m., that is really starting to weaken, but you're still seeing around 1 to 2, so there is definitely still a tornado potential within that line along there. As you look at most unstable energy, aka CAPE values, you are seeing as well as upwards of 3,000 joules per kilogram, which is enough to really get those storms rolling. A lot of lightning within these, and a lot of large hail is going to be expected within these storms as well. You get to look at surface-based lifted index, which is also a way to really see how these cells will really rotate. And as you can see, we are seeing negative 11 Celsius. These storms are really going to be rotating here. And as you head into, of course, the overnight hours, that really starts to weaken. But still tornado potential along this type of area. And you could definitely see 1 to 3 possible nocturnal tornadoes hitting those areas. As you look at supercell composite, which is the risk for supercells developing, you are seeing a ton here. You are seeing upwards of 30s and up to even 40s in here, which is definitely enough to get supercells here. 40 right there, and that's just going to be for northwestern or for western Alabama. You are seeing a ton of supercells developing by the time you get to around 1 p.m. So it looks like these supercells will develop they will trigger right at 1 or 12 p.m. Either of those times, we are expecting those supercells to start to develop. Now, as you head into updraft helicity, as you look at updraft helicity, which is the paths of rotating supercells, as you can see here, we are seeing definitely over here some of these supercells are looking to even have some violent, strong tornadoes like this one cell, a couple of these other cells as well. This is kind of hinting to where we could see some strong tornadoes with those supercells. And all these swaths all have a tornadic potential. So we are seeing a ton of swaths over here in Arkansas. You're also seeing a lot of swaths there. So all of these swaths here have a tornadic potential, and this is why we're really worried about another tornado outbreak hitting more north of this area. But still, most of the same area from last week is getting hit from these tornadic supercells, just like that last week. And Tuscaloosa is just going to be right over here, right in that type of area where that where this tornadic supercell is expected to head. And it looks to be very long tracked as well, so we're definitely going to keep an eye on all of these cells down here and up here tomorrow. Make sure you do stay tuned for the live stream for tomorrow. That'll be starting around 12 p.m. But if you did enjoy the forecast, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new, and to our post notifications so you won't miss a single upload or live stream on the channel. And make sure to share this video with new friends or family that may be in the path of this major tornado outbreak. But anyways, stay safe.